Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the WITEE Chatterbots show as we continue our journey to get you more inspired and connected. If you are new to the show, a very warm welcome. I am Carmen, your host, and we are coming live from the Brand Live Studio, 27 boxes in the bohemian city of Melville. The WITEE Chatterbots show, Women in Tech Empowering Everyone, aims to empower you by interviewing a wide range of remarkable and thought-provoking guests to discover as we navigate through the constant change around us. We will explore topics on business, technology, innovation, and marketing, and give you a bite-sized insight that can help you propel forward and embrace the entrepreneurial culture. Today, I would like to welcome back Candice Goodman, Mobitainment. She's here in the house today again. Hello.
Thank you, Carmen.
Welcome back. If you guys didn't listen in last week, we had a show where we were talking about is mobile dead, and it was a very interesting show.
And the answer to that was no.
Yeah, the answer to that was no. So if you really want to really get informed, then go and listen into that podcast from last week, iTunes or Castbox, and subscribe to Booyah by Carmen to listen to last week's episode and obviously this week's episode too. So we would like to give a very warm welcome to a wonderful lady that's really a guru in Stokvels, and she really brings a lot of prep to the Stokvel industry, and she's a force of nature, and she's been dealing with a lot of big brands in FMCG to financial services, and currently holds a position as Marketing and Business Development Director for Bsk Marketing. A very warm welcome to Mo-Flava.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. For a split second there, I didn't recognize who you were talking about. I was like, oh my God, that's me. That's me. I'm in the right place. I'm not lost. We're doing this. So thank you very much for having me. I'm very honored.
No, we are thrilled.
I'm loving it.
Yay. Okay, so I'm just going to set the context. So we really wanted to unpack Stokvels and how businesses can do, work with Stokvels. Mm-hmm. And I think just to give our audience a little bit of a background, currently, the Stokvel Market is estimated about 120,000 Stokvels, which is probably about 11.4 million Stokvel members. And that brings an average revenue of about 44 billion rand per annum, which is a lot of money. And there's the type of Stokvels that you get is like savings, funeral, grocery, from what I know, holiday, birthday. But also it can range from 5 to 150 members. And I mean, we all know that there's opportunity with the Stokvel market, but it's really finding a way of how. And I think that's why we have you here today, to pick your brain on that.
Yes, pick away. Okay,
so I want to open up by asking the following question. Where does the word Stokvel come from?
That's a very interesting story. So the whole idea of Stokvel is it's back like a long time ago, like centuries ago, back when we were all in like the barter trade, where if I had bread and I wanted milk, I'd have to give you a piece of my bread to get your milk. So all the farmers and like the gatherers and whatnot would come together with all of their stock, and they'd come together to this veld.
Wow.
All of them together, and they would barter their stock, whatever stock it is. So it'd be livestock, or it'd be, fruits and veggies. So they'd barter their stock to get some of whatever stock that you have. So then the whole word Stokvel comes from that, from that history. The word stock in terms of livestock or, stock of goods. Yeah. And the word fell from veld. So we would barter all of the stock in a veld. And over the years, the term Stokvel was born.
I love that.
So, yeah.
And here I'm thinking it's stick and skin, and I was like, that sounds so aggressive. Okay, so what do Stokvels typically say for?
I mean, what don't they say for? Stokvels are extremely diverse. So I think you mentioned a couple of the big ones. Stokvels save for anything from buying groceries for their families up until buying property, buying cars for each other. They save for things like construction and home improvements and building a house from scratch. They save for school fees for their children. They save for funerals and burials. It really is. I mean, it really is a diverse, consumer segment. whatever common goal or common objective or common need
Yes.
we have as a collective, we form a group of people to satisfy that need together. Strength in numbers, financial strength in numbers.
Correct.
So the better question would be, what don't they save for?
Okay, all right.
Okay, so Mo, on that note, how do they actually operate? How does it work? How do they save, collect money, and hold members accountable?
Well, the foundation of any stokvel, any collective, is a constitution. So the first thing is, well, actually, let me actually take a step back and talk about the two really important things about how a stokvel is born, really. The first thing I mentioned earlier is a collective goal, a collective objective, or a need, or a consumer attention, to use a marketing term. And the second thing is relationship. So some sort of pre-existing relationship that brings us together. So it can be family, it can be friends, it can be colleagues, people who have a common need and who know each other, in some which way, shape, or form. And then from then on, you form your stokvel, and the first thing that you need to do is put together a constitution. And the constitution essentially governs the way the stokvel operates. So everything from nitty-gritty things like meetings, how regular we hold meetings, where the meetings are held, the structure of the meeting, how we manage members' attendance or lack of attendance, up until all the financial matters like how much do we contribute, when do we contribute, what do we invest in, what is our risk profile, so to speak.
Sure.
And it all depends on you find some stokvels that are very rigid and very structured in the way that they administer their stokvel, and then you find stokvels that are a lot more flexible in the way that they manage their stokvel. So the constitution is a 1 or 2 page document that just says we like each other and we're going to be rich together.
I like that motto.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah, and then you find the really extreme ones where they even talk where they even have uniforms and how you dress to a meeting and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And so everything is detailed in the constitution. So if you don't contribute, what happens if a member doesn't contribute? How do we suspend your membership? All of that is detailed in the constitution, which we as members would agree upon.
That's a very interesting question. Now, I would like to know, if I had to go to a stokvel meeting, because I've never been to one, if I had to go to a typical stokvel meeting, what happens there? What's the process? The roles and responsibilities, and how? Just take us through that.
Okay, so we pick a venue. Most of the time, you'll find that stokvels rotate venues amongst the members.
Okay.
Just so there's not always one member who has the job of hosting. And every stokvel has an exco, so to speak. So you have a chairperson, a deputy, a secretary, and a treasurer, and then you have the ordinary members. And depending on how advanced the stokvel is, they might even have subcommittees for different parts or times of the year, depending on how they decide to govern themselves. So the chairperson opens up the meeting, greets everyone. The secretary will then go through the minutes of the previous meeting, any matters arising, any issues from that, next steps, summaries of the minutes, and then we ratify the minutes as a group. Then the treasurer will go through the financials. So we'll talk about, where the financials are sitting this month versus last month, so opening versus closing, what's happened in between, bank charges, interest, what's happening to our investments, depending on where you're investing, how investments are growing or are they declining, what the market is like. So the treasurer basically goes through the financial report. And then depending on how manual your stokvel is, the treasurer will then take this month's contributions. So some stokvels are very manual. Members come to a meeting with envelopes of money, and the treasurer has a book where they write, okay, Carmen Murray, 1,000 rand. Okay, Mo Malele, 1,500 rand. Okay, Candy, okay, 500 rand. And then and they write it out in a book and they give the treasurer the money, and then the treasurer has to deposit the money into the bank account. Or in some cases, it just sits in a kitty.
Is there no risk involved with that?
There's a lot of risk. So some stokvels do it that way. Other stokvels have managed to electronize, if I can coin a word. They've managed to electronize their systems or their structures so that there is as little money in hand as possible, because there's a lot of risk. There's a lot of risk in that. And I mean, you see a lot of apps coming up now. You see a lot of EFTs and all that kind of stuff. So more and more Stokvel, like Stokvels are encouraged to use technology in terms of moving money amongst each other. But then that's what would happen in a Stokvel meeting. So then the treasurer would take all the contributions, or we would discuss what has been contributed, assuming that we're not using a manual system. Then from then on, it's matters arising. It's, any next steps from the previous meeting. So if there were particular members who are tasked with doing something specific, they would report back on that. So, for example, if we are planning a weekend away with our families and we've tasked, Carmen to look into that, Carmen now must report back on what the quotation is, where would you go, what would we do, that kind of stuff. So the different members
it's very organized.
It is.
It's a well-oiled machine.
It is, but I mean, like I say, it depends, right? There's a whole spectrum of administration.
It's like a real corporate.
So you find those that run like a well-oiled machine, like a board meeting, and then you find those that don't that run like a spaza, so to speak, right? that is just, it's like you don't really know. So it's a whole spectrum of administration.
So what would be the challenges that they face? Obviously, the different types of Stokvels would have different challenges, but can you talk us through what maybe a grocery Stokvel would face in terms of saving, choosing the products that they want to buy, etc.?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is, for lack of a better word, let me say financial literacy or financial education in terms of where to put our money and what to do with it. I mean, if you're a group of 10 plus people who are putting away 1,000 rand a month, is a fixed deposit really the best way to grow your money? Is a 32-day notice really the best way to grow your money, or are there other avenues you could look into to grow your money a lot faster? But then now when we talk about that, we have to now have a discussion about your risk profile and what your, like how much risk can you tolerate? Because across, the financial, across the different investment portfolios or different plans, there's different risk, tolerance and so forth. But people don't know that, and this is a discussion that you now need to educate people on where to put your money and what the expected returns would be. But I think the biggest challenge right now, I mean, I was actually going to say administration is also another really big one.
Oh, really?
Right. So I just spoke about
like the whole manual process.
Yeah, the whole manual process, and how do you manage and administer your Stokvel? So what happens when a member passes away in your Stokvel, and they've been contributing for the last 18 months? Where is that money sitting? How does the family get it? Does the family want to get it, or do they want to continue being in the Stokvel?
Yeah.
What happens when a member wants to leave the Stokvel and cash in their money because they have a family emergency or they need the cash?
Yeah.
How do you get access as a Stokvel? How do we get access to that money to give to the member, and how do we administer that? So the whole administration process of a Stokvel lends itself to difficulty and to challenges. I think another one for a lot of people is also finding like-minded individuals who have the same vision for the Stokvel. So if you are trying to save, if you are a group of young people in like your late 20s and you're all kind of having children at the same time, and you want to plan for your children's education, 10 years from now, you need to find like-minded individuals who are all in their like late 20s or early 30s or whatever, that are like, we're all having kids and our kids are kind of going to be in varsity run about the same time. So let's start a Stokvel where we put money away. Why leave it to all of, why leave it to bursaries and scholarships? Let's save for our children's education. So that's another challenge, finding like-minded individuals. And I think one of the biggest ones is also the fact that the Stokvel segment in South Africa is very unregulated. It's unregulated, it's untracked, and so that leaves a lot of loopholes for schemes, for chances, for crime, for people, to get taken advantage of by some of their own members.
I mean, just further to your point, I mean, a few months ago there was this huge Bitcoin scam that was positioned as a Stokvel. Millions.
It's ridiculous.
Millions.
It's ridiculous.
I
heard recently the story about a Stokvel. I think it was a group of 10 members who had opened up an account at a bank, and they were now putting money into this account, and they had invested thousands of rands over the course of several months. Now all of them had been featured when they started up their account. And so everyone thought that, we're safe from members, taking our money. But apparently the fine print, there was a clause in the fine print that read something along the lines of it only requires, I think it's like 2 or 3 members, like it only requires 2 members, two signatories to take money out of the account. And so
Wow.
2 people walked into the bank and walked out thousandaires, and people lost their money. So
Thousandaires.
they were, you know what I mean? Like it's and the thing is, it's because the segment is so unregulated. Your Stokvels are not, they're not tracked, and not to track them in the sense of we want to know what you're doing and watch your every move, but more in the sense of the system needs to find ways to protect this gem that is worth 40 billion rand, and I'm pretty sure is worth more now because those stats were from a couple of years ago. There's a lot.
It's such an interesting topic. But one thing that fascinates me is the future of Stokvels, because you always hear that it's more the older generation that invests in Stokvels. Is that a myth? Can it debunked, or is there any truth to that?
No, it's a complete myth. I think that's the thing about the whole space of Stokvels and the actual term Stokvels. It's got a lot of heritage, and whenever people hear the term Stokvels, their minds just goes to the older generation. It just goes to township gogos buying groceries in bulk at a cash and carry, or I'm thinking burials and funeral societies type thing. Stokvels have evolved and they'll continue to evolve. And the reason why is because if you look at the whole model of a Stokvel and you look at what a Stokvel is, it's a group of people with the same objective that come together, because in numbers we're stronger. That model isn't particularly new or unique if you think about it. Like a lot of businesses that were funded and started based on the foundation of a Stokvel model, or what I like to call like that collective model, just a group of people with a common goal or a common need, So Stokvels have evolved a lot and will continue to evolve. The only thing that's special about South Africa is that South Africans have managed to consumerize Stokvels. So it's not just about business and production, but it's also about consumers and how we consume as a collective.
I like that. And also really having the advantage when you go and purchase your goods for the year, you get a better price because you come in these quantities. Guys, we're just going to go for a quick ad break and then we'll be back to continue this very interesting conversation.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7.
You're listening to the hottest internet station. Ran live.
No doubt. The station with the best music. Best music.
I love the music.
Best music.
This one is explosive.
Brandlive.co.za.
Lunatic, 'cause I do what I want, and I get what I want when I want it. Life can be so ordinary. Boy meets girl, they settle, make a baby.
Brandlive.co.za.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the WITEE Chatterbots show. We are having a very interesting conversation with Malele, talking about Stokvels and how they're structured, but also how to do business with them. I think we're going to leap into that now, where we just want to really just understand the business element of it. So now we have the context, we understand what Stokvels are all about, how they operate, how they're evolving, and the scope of Stokvels. But very importantly is that what we need to look at is, what do you think many businesses understand how to tap into Stokvel markets, and why do you think they're not getting it right?
I think the reason why they're not getting... I think I missed the first part of the question. Can you just repeat the question?
So, yeah, sure, no. So, what do you think that with Stokvel Markets brands are not getting right, and why do you think that is?
I think the biggest part is this whole mentality of one size fits all marketing campaigns, and that just simply falls flat on its face. Stokvels, and I think throughout this entire conversation, Stokvels are just like very diverse. Like that's one thing that we can most certainly say. Stokvels are very diverse because there is this one element of consuming as a group, and then there's the other element of consuming as an individual. You know, because I'm part of a collective, but I am also an individual. You have to find a way to merge the two in terms of how you speak to Stokvels. So I think the biggest challenge is the lack of authenticity from a lot of brands when it comes to understanding Stokvels and coming with humility. You know, the humility of, yes, I want to sell you a bunch of products, but before we get to me selling you a bunch of products, I really actually want to understand you on a human level. And Stokvels really respond to that because fundamentally that's what they're based on. That's the whole story of a Stokvel. You know, the power of a collective, the power, the spirit of Ubuntu. You know, so when you just come there with the idea of I'm just gonna sell you stuff and you need to buy the stuff because you are a consumer, so you consume products.
That's your
right?
value.
Yeah, when you come in there with that attitude, they see very quickly through that because Stokvels are also very confident and sure of themselves because they've got a lot of money in the bank and they know that, you know, money talks.
Yeah.
So speak my language and I'll listen to you, or don't speak my language and
go somewhere
next. You know, so that's like I think that's the biggest challenge. So my advice to a lot of brands would be to come with authenticity, you know, in wanting to learn. It's okay to come to the table understanding that you have more questions than answers. That's okay. And Stokvels will give you
And
all the answers.
they love that you're actually coming to the table and saying, listen, we don't understand. Please give us clarity. What is it that we can bring to the table? And I think when you start changing the conversation, I think then you get more value out of it because it's the meeting of minds and really finding a way of collaboration, because the spirit of Ubuntu is all about collaboration. So I do think also in the corporate environment, like with various brands, there's certain things or certain products that we know this is what they consume and this is what they swear by and they live by for religious reasons or whichever the case might be. Like I'm just thinking, Excella oil is a big deal. You know, in this particular market, because there's various reasons for that.
Yeah.
So if you know that there's certain hampers or products that needs to live in this basket for the consumer, collaborate. Even though you do regard them as a competitor, at least you get into the basket. I think those things are also important, that that competitors need to also embrace the spirit of Ubuntu.
That's true. I mean, it's fundamentally it's important to sell the consumer something they want to buy.
Yes.
And you're never gonna know what they want to buy, or at the very least understand what their motivations are for buying that, if you're constantly sitting in a huddle room somewhere conjuring up your marketing strategy with people that don't even know what Stokvel is or what it means or how to correctly spell it, and then coming out of those rooms and then saying, we've got this amazing product. You guys consume burial and like funeral like policies, right? So sure, like buy this product. Or you guys buy in this category, right? So you buy this product because we've made it specifically for you. But like sitting, you know,
Very removed.
But sitting very removed from the people that need to consume this product. So you need to, you as brands, you just like we need to get better at putting ourselves out there and really listening to the consumer, because the consumer will tell you exactly what they want, and then just give it to them. So and that's another point. You find a lot of the times that that brands have all of these structures and these like a way of doing things that is completely unuser friendly. And sometimes you look at it and you're just like, so who's supposed to buy this? Like, who's supposed to understand this copy? Who's supposed to understand how to open this product? Who's supposed to understand how any of this works?
Yeah.
You know, except for the people who've made the product. So come with authenticity and they'll tell you exactly what they want. But then once they've told you, give it to them.
Yeah.
Because another pushback you get from brands is, oh no, but our systems don't work that way. You've got to be kidding me. In 2018, our systems don't work that way. Come back when you're serious.
Yeah.
Come back when you're serious.
I love that. Yeah. You know, put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so
Right.
I'm going to move over to Candy. I think that mobile plays a very instrumental role in connecting, engaging, rewarding the Stokvel market. So Candy, maybe you can take it over from here.
Yeah,
Right, let's
so
go.
talking about how brands talk to Stokvels, do you agree that mobile is a great connector?
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. And just in terms of the communications and how does it work? What can you comment on what kind of channels Stokvels would like to communicate on? There's the big buzzwords of WhatsApp, for example, USSD, SMS. Do they enjoy communicating on those channels using their mobile phone?
Yes, they do. Like every and anybody else in 2018, I suppose. But here's the important thing that brands often miss is that it's not enough for the brand to engage with the consumer. You need to flip that communication around and have the consumer engage with you.
Like that.
Back and forth communication between a brand and the consumer, that's where you win. Because you have to think about this as a relationship, right? It's a two-way street. I mean, you can't ask me out on a date, plan it, and propose marriage, talk about kids, and I've never said anything.
I've never even flirted
I've
with
never
you.
even, you know what I mean? I've never even like you haven't DM'd me. We haven't shared a joke. Now we're talking marriage. You know what I mean?
So
And you
that's
want me
the
to,
secret sauce. Is
That's the
that
thing.
two-way
It's
engagement?
that two-way.
Yeah.
And mobile is the perfect enabler for that.
Because it's so personal.
It's so personal, and everyone has a mobile. And mobile goes from, something like something as simple as USSD, and people underestimate the power of USSD done right, done well.
Yes.
Something as small as USSD up through to your chatbots and your apps and VR and all sorts of really cool things that we can do. Yeah, etc., etc., etc. There's a whole spectrum, but mobile is a perfect enabler for two-way communication.
On that note, talk about vernacular languages.
Yes,
How important is it to speak to them in their preferred mother tongue?
it's very important. And in the South African context as well, you're seeing this movement of people wanting to speak in their mother tongue. A lot it's a movement that's coming across. I think was it Sia Kolisi not too long ago who did a press who did his press conference in his mother tongue in Xhosa. So platforms like those are very powerful. People want to be engaged in their mother tongue. There's 11 official languages in this country, but only 1.5 are prominently featured. So speak to people about what they want in the language that they want.
And you need to be prepared to listen to them and understand them in their
that
language.
language,
Of course.
yeah.
And that goes to gearing up the systems to do
Right.
that.
100%. And the one thing that I think that's important about language, it connects because it's some way of the meeting of hearts, because now you really care, but it's also on how people can understand you better and your proposition that you're trying to share, because I think that's also where a lot of issues come along the way.
Yeah, so it's all about engagement. When we're talking about rewards and giving value back, what kind of rewards, what kind of value are you looking at?
Value that matters, value that means something to me. So don't give me buckets.
T-shirts.
Don't give me t-shirts, don't give me buckets, don't give me little, hats and whatnot. Give me the discount.
Yeah.
I care about the discount.
Okay.
Don't make me enter one big competition where I might win or I might not win after
get
buying
capped.
10,000 Rand worth of goods or whatever. You can give me the 10% off right now. It's okay. Give me the 5% off
Instant
right
gratification.
now. Instant gratification. I'll take it, walk away, and reinvest it somewhere else.
Yeah.
ROI.
Yeah.
You'll hear a lot of marketers talk about ROI. ROI works both ways. As a
Yeah.
consumer, I also want return on me investing in your brand.
100%. And what I love about that is the reinvestment part, because so many times when they do save, they use that money to reinvest into the Stokvel and to grow other elements, like, for example, their funeral cover, those kind of things are also important, because, many of these Stokvels, I think, also has a ripple effect.
Yes.
Like they move into different structures and new goals, and then, move towards those
They
goals
pass it
together.
down on to their kids as well. So it's a lot.
100%. Well, we've unfortunately reached now the end of this interview.
Already? Wow.
You are going I've please, could you talk like the whole day? I'm like really enjoying this. I think we're going to have to arrange to have you back.
I would love that. I would love nothing more than be back here.
Yes, no, we're going to have you back, and maybe we co-host together, and then maybe we can have a guest, and then we can get a little bit deeper into this topic, because I do think that businesses need to know more about how they can empower the Stokvels. Now, we have a tradition.
Okay.
We play a 1-minute game, and you've got 60 seconds, and you have to go as quick as possible to answer these questions. The goal is obviously to answer 10 questions.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
All right.
Okay,
let's go.
On your mark, it says, go. They say that everyone has a book in them. What would your book be about?
I am what I am when I am it.
What's the color of Mo money?
Red. It's the color of love, the color of passion.
Oh, if you won 1 million rand, how would you use it?
I would invest in a lot of businesses and a lot of stuff to find a way to make that money just work for itself and never have to work again.
If you were a dictator of a small island nation, what crazy dictator stuff would you do? Since we do have a world eye on a dictator today, quickly!
I would declare whiskey as a national drink.
Okay, what is something that a ton of people are obsessed with, but you just don't get the point of?
Nothing.
Okay. What are you most likely to become famous for?
Changing people's lives through my poetry.
If you could sing one song, X Factor, what would it be?
All I Want Is You.
Oh, well done. You've done 7.
All right, okay. 70%.
That's awesome.
That's 70%.
70% is almost a
You
distinction.
measure the process. You always measure the process. So next time you do this, you have to get higher mark, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I'll remember that.
Okay, guys. First of all, Mo, thank you so much for being part of the show today. And you have been amazing. I love Mo Flava. I just think you're amazing.
Thank you very
so
much for having me.
for being here. And also, Candice, thanks so much for being my co-host and for your amazing contribution as always.
Loved it.
And we would just like to thank Brand Life Radio for the innovative container studio and for making the show possible. And listen into the shows on www.brandlife.co.za. Or if you never want to miss an episode, you can also find all our shows on either Castbox or iTunes when you search for Booyah. BOO-YAH exclamation by Carmen. Please rate our show to help others find it. Thank you to Gold Studios, who manages our shows, and iTunes and Castbox. So don't forget to tune in next week. Same time, same place. Thank you, guys.
The station with the best music. Best music.
I love the music.
Best music.
This one is explosive.
Brandlife.co.za.
Lunatic, 'cause I do what I want, and I get what I want when I want it. You know life can be so ordinary. Boy meets girl, they settle, make a baby.
Brandlife.co.za.